Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Hey, you know what? Let's continue talking about Star Wars Empire because I'm having so much fun talking about it already. Alright, so now we're going to go to the next issue in the series. This was written by John Jackson Miller. Hey! And in this issue, number 35, it's basically the aftermath of Jabiim. Okay, there's a captured prisoner, Vader's interrogating him, he's going to use that information to crush the rebellion. Basically, it's just the aftermath of this big story arc that we just saw happen. Now, I don't mind it, it's not bad, but basically, why'd you bring in John Jackson Miller, who I think is a pretty big author, because he's done a lot of books, and he's written a ton of comic books. Why'd you bring him in to write this one little story? Maybe John Jackson Miller just enjoyed the story so much, he went, hey, I've got to write the aftermath. Let me write something about this. You know, so it's okay. It's okay. All right, now we get into the last story arc and the final few issues of Star Wars Empire. And that would be Star Wars issues 36 through 40. Now, these were written by Wells Hartley, and in it stars Lieutenant Janek Sumbar, whose Imperial career has been slightly boring. But he's going to get his first taste of action when rebels attack the prison he's guarding. I really did enjoy this series. I thought it was a really good story arc. Janek Sumbar, who I'm going to talk about a lot more later on in a future video, because this isn't the end of what we'll see from him, but he's the kind of thing that the whole Empire comic book should have stood for. He's someone who we get to see from his point of view. To him, the Empire is not bad at all. It's a good, well-oiled machine, and it does its job, right? Create order in the universe. So for Janek, there is, no doubt that the Empire are the good guys, and the rebels are the irrational, hot-headed bad guys. And so during this battle, he's young, he's kind of inexperienced in a way because there's some infighting in his group. He didn't know how to handle things properly. I mean, there are things that blow up his way. There's rebel spies within his garrison that he didn't even know. But he's just trying to keep it together and fend off the rebels. This is his chance to shine. Finally, he's been thrown from one useless outpost to the next, and now the battle's come to him, and boy, has he been ready to fight. Now again, they're going to continue Sumbar's story in other comic books I'll talk about later, but let me just talk about Empire as a whole. As you know, I stopped buying this comic book live years ago when it first came out because of that whole big, incompleted 4-part series that was later on completed. But I remember for Christmas one year, I didn't have any idea of what my parents could get me, and so I said, hey, you know what, I heard that they'd finish off the big storyline. I said, hey, get me all the Empire trade paperbacks. I told them which trades to get me, and they did. And this is back when the EU was in, full bloom. We had tons of stories coming out by then. The Disney occupation hadn't happened. And I just needed something to read in between the next books and comic books coming out. So I received this stack of Empire trades one Christmas, and I read all the way through them. Now, given Empire had ended at this point, I don't know how long ago it had ended, but it had already ended. And so I was reading through them all, and overall, so I can give you a really good idea of what I thought overall of this series, because like I said, I almost read it all in one sitting. Overall, there are some great stories in there. There is just as many, if not more, okay stories, kind of bland stories. I've reviewed a bunch of them, right? I've said, hey, this one's okay, and this is what happened here, and it was okay. And then every once in a while, there was a stinker. There was one that was no good. But here's my problem with Star Wars Empire. It missed the mark. This should have been a comic book based on the Empire, right? We should have been able to see things from the Imperial point of view, just like the last 4 issues. We should have seen more of that in the entire series. What we got was rebel stories in a comic book named Star Wars Empire. Now, I get it. For a comic book to sell, you got to put Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie on the cover, right? You got to have some rebellion stories in there. But no, there were tons of people making stories about the rebellion. When I see a comic book named Star Wars Empire, I want to see a comic book focusing on the Empire. And I don't think that's too hard to ask. I think there's lots of ideas that they just didn't even think about or didn't bother working with this series. I think I know it lost its way very quickly when they said, oh, we can't do stories just about Darth Vader and the Empire. We need to do stories about rebels and everything. Someone should have said, no, man, you already have tons of rebel stories. Let's do things from the Imperial point. Maybe the Imperials, like I said, I'd love to see stories of them saving the public, and, you know, fending off from a random alien invasion, or space pirates, saving a couple from space pirates. Maybe the Empire isn't all that bad. Oh, what a novel idea. We could put that in a comic book, and I think you would have had fantastic stories coming out of it. But no, they caved into the pressure. We need Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie to sell comic books. Let's make some rebel stories too. And I'm not saying those rebel stories were bad. I'm just saying that they could have saved those stories and put them in other comic books. But Star Wars Empire had so much potential, and I feel it didn't live up to it, even though every once in a while they had a home run with the series. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with another video.